Everybody, welcome back to the How to Podcast series where we bring on people who are creative. We're in the space. We're doing the thing. Ben is here with me. I've already had the chance to speak to this amazing gentleman. Came on my show to talk about writing and all that fun stuff. We'll have a link for that for you to go follow up and hear more from Ben. But on top of being a writer, he also does a bunch of other stuff. He's not MC Hammer, but he is an MC. And he does that, which is interesting. And audiobook, narration, and lots more. So we're going to learn a lot, and we'll apply it back to podcasting, content creation. Ben, welcome to the show as my guest co-host. Glad to have you here.
Yeah, Dave, thanks for having me. I'm very glad to be back in the booth with you.
It's good. Yeah, I'll always leave space for you. You can come anytime you want. This is great. Let's talk a little bit about your background for people who haven't met you yet. A little bit of what you're doing as a creative person in the content space. Writing, there's so much to talk about. Just give us an overview as we start.
Sure. Primarily, I am an urban fantasy author and audiobook narrator. So while I have more credits to my name when it comes to my published works for ebooks and paperbacks, I have narrated and produced 2 full-length audiobooks from my own series. With my own little grubby hands. So in addition to that, I've also been doing a lot of guest appearances on various other podcasts and shows, and feel like it's time to give back a bit when it comes to other independent authors in the space. So yeah, here to talk about all that.
Awesome. That's really good. So audiobook narration. I love listening to audiobooks. I love when an author does their own audiobook. I'm getting a lot of people that come on my author podcast who say, as an author, I would never voice my own book. And I'm like, well, the one thing I love about an author that reads their own book is that you know the words, you know the intent behind the words. Hard to always explain to somebody who's reading it for the first time and recording for you. Very talented people out there who can. But I just think there's a little bit of an advantage for an author to read their own book as an audiobook. What are your thoughts about that as an author and as an audiobook voiceover person as well? Any thoughts about an author doing their own book?
Yeah, I feel like if you can, then you should consider it. I agree. The person who knows their work best is the author. And so you get a peek behind the curtain if you basically get to hear what the author thinks their characters sound like, their speech, their cadence, even their accents and other things. And authors who can do it and who want to do it absolutely should consider taking a stab at it. The challenge being a lot of authors feel that they can't. That doesn't actually mean that they can't. It means that they think they can't. To be fair, the proof is in the doing, and I'm sure some authors who think that they can shouldn't. So okay. It goes both ways in that my opinion is very similar to yours. Authors who narrate their own audiobooks can absolutely be fantastic, and it can be better than any, more professional, by which I just really mean more credits to their name, performers. But an author doing their own book can be a great thing.
What about just the tech side for an author that's considering doing their own audiobook? It's not like you can just grab your phone, record your book in chunks and just upload it to Audible and they'll take care of it. There's a lot more going on behind the scenes. Kind of give us a base level, entry level, but good quality setup suggestions for an author to do their own audiobook.
I absolutely have suggestions and opinions on that one. I will say for people who don't understand Audible, and for independent authors, it's through ACX, which is the Audible Exchange. They have the most stringent audio requirements. So compared to other distributors, such as Spotify or other platforms, if you can pass ACX guidelines, then your audio will be accepted on every other platform because ACX is the most stringent because they have both technical requirements and then they also have a human listening portion where when you publish, it is allegedly listened to by a human. So it isn't just does it pass technical specs, is it passable from a human listening perspective?
Okay.
And so I can speak to that because I've had 2 full-length audiobooks accepted on the first round, no revisions necessary for both of my books because I paid a lot of attention to how to make that happen.
Yeah.
As far as the base level specifications, yeah, you can't do this with your smartphone. You can't even do it with your smartphone and like some little USB like plug-in microphone on your phone.
Yeah.
You're going to need a real setup. Now, indie authors, let's have real talk. You should get these things anyway, because if you're going to be doing stuff like this and promoting yourself through any sort of podcast or media platform, you need to sound halfway decent. And it can't just sound like you're talking in an echoey room on your phone. Because honestly, like I've been on a number of live shows and chats and podcasts with other authors, and you not sounding good is not good for your personal brand. No matter how much I hate the concept of a personal brand, it's what it is. You can get away with a really budget setup. The microphone that I'm using right now, and for the record, I am not in any way affiliated with this company. They do not pay me anything. I simply love their products. This microphone is by a Chinese company called Fifine, and Fifine makes 2 specific microphones that are perfect entry level, both for podcasting and frankly for audiobook narration. This is the K688, which is Fifine's budget competitor. And I put that in like quotation fingers because of course people feel like it can't compare to the Shure SM7B, which is the most ubiquitous podcast mic that exists.
Right.
So the Shure SM7B is a fantastic microphone. If you get the original, you're looking at $500. If you get the SM7DB, which has the built-in cloud lifter, you're talking $600. And some of us are not going to make that money back in a long amount of time, no matter how many audiobooks we sell, because, the K688, which is what I'm talking on right now, I've had great feedback on my audiobooks as far as the sound quality.
Great.
It has the same like podcast slate, like honeying, darkening quality that the SM7B gets you, except Dave, guess how much this microphone costs?
$2,000. No, right?
Yeah, you
What do you got?
you can regularly get this microphone on sale for like $60.
Come on.
Yeah.
Like $60 investment
Yeah.
to go on, be a guest on podcast, do your own audiobook. You get a lot of different options just by having a mic, right?
Now, this is a dual USB XLR mic. So for right now, I'm on my regular PC doing a podcast USB. For doing audiobooks, you really should be using XLR, which means you need an interface. But you can get, Fifine also sells a budget interface for $30 that will do the job. A Scarlett Solo is better because you get 24-bit audio if, in fact, you're going to do other work that needs that spec. But ACX doesn't care about 24-bit audio. They don't. It's not required. So you can get away with a $60 mic and a $30 interface with a couple cables, and then go clear some space in your closet and put up a memory foam, like a mattress pad protector, egg crate foam, and you'll be good to go for recording your first audiobook. My first booth was effectively a big closet shelf that I carved out, padded out with a $20 egg crate foam mattress pad, and hung a packing blanket behind me to get rid of some of that reflection. And the sound quality is great.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll have to get the link from you for that mic because you sound great on that mic, by the way.
It's
nice and clear
it's a
and
great
crisp.
mic.
Yeah. Yeah.
My voice is also like my natural speaking voice is higher than your
Yeah.
average you know leading man audiobook narrator. But this mic again, the thing that the SM7B and similar dynamic mics, which for the record we can talk real quick about dynamic versus condenser mics. This again, this honeys up my voice a little bit and makes my voice sound a little richer than it normally would through any other
Yeah.
audio.
Yeah. When I'm listening to some podcasts, I can almost tell what kind of mic they're using by the sound. There's a lot of male voices who have a lower register using mics that make them sound muddy, and you can tell either they're eating the microphone, it's so close to their mouth that they're licking it with that's how close, or it's just their settings or how that matches with their voice that it gets so muddy for me. I'm like struggling to understand some of the words. So finding the right mic is super important. So I like how clear yours is. That's great.
Thank you. Yeah, and it comes down to because you're not just talking about the recording. To meet audio book specifications, you also then have to talk about mastering, and that's a whole separate skill set. So for the record, like for the faint of heart, you need to understand that there's a bunch of work and learning curve that's going to go into producing an audiobook. But once you learn it, it's a skill set that you will keep with you forever. But it can be tough. Podcasts are a little bit different in that I think a lot of people mostly just go with effectively the raw audio, and that's probably some of the problem. But that being said, you're going to have to learn audiobook mastering to do that. But there are plugins, there are scripts, there's other things that you can use that really help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, that's a good point. I was listening to an audiobook, which is interesting. It was written and voiced by an author who is a podcaster. And it's a book about podcasting. So I'm like, well, I'll listen to that. First 5 chapters, great, good information. She's really good on the mic. You can tell she's done this for a long time as a podcaster. And then the wheels fell off. Like chapter 6, 7, 8, she for some reason, I don't know how this went through, but you can actually hear her stop, make a mistake, redo, have a sip of her drink, and then say, I hate this stuff. This is really hard. I really don't like doing this. She didn't edit any of those things as outtakes and left them all in. And I thought, okay, after the first or second, I'm like, well, this is just an oversight. But chapter after chapter after chapter, it just kept falling apart. And I sent her a message because I listened to her podcast. And I said, I don't know if you know, but your audiobook is, after chapter 5 or 6, it's falling apart. You might want to check. No response.
Oh my God.
I'm like, so is there a way for us to sneak our stuff by and get it in? Because it's on Audible still today.
So here's one of the problems. I don't believe that so the human listening portion, I don't know that they listen to the whole thing. I feel like they listen to samples.
Yeah. Spot check.
And so stuff like that happens all the time. You can, like, my second audiobook, I managed to upload a chapter that cut something. Like, I had accidentally, and this is where you're like, once you start working with a digital audio workstation or a DAW, which again, authors, you'll have to learn what that is and hit me up. I'll talk about it. I did something in my DAW where I think I accidentally ripple edited something, and so like it cut a piece. And so I had an early listener be like, "Hey, everything's good except this one piece of chapter 8 or whatever." And so I went back and I checked and I fixed it. So stuff can sneak through. That the kind of stuff you're talking about absolutely can make it through your final cut. Now, the one you're talking about sounds pretty egregious in that I feel like your final listen through, even if you're doing it at like 2x speed, you should have caught that.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's either someone uploaded the wrong files or
Maybe,
just
maybe.
didn't care. But I would like to give them the benefit of the doubt that they
Yeah.
just, they didn't upload track 3 final no really final dot,
Yeah.
dot MP3.
Yeah. 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 And yeah, let's go back again. You talk about as a guest having the right equipment to be a guest on the show. I would say for some of my podcasts, because I have multiple, 70, 80% of my guests come on with a laptop mic built in, no microphone, no headphones. And it picks up the entirety of the room
Mm-hmm.
where they are. And their rooms aren't treated. A lot of my guests are first time guests. They do maybe 1 or 2 interviews a year. They don't see the return on investment on buying equipment. But if you, as the host, don't know how to fix that or make it sound better, there are some tools, but the best results happen at the time of recording.
Mm-hmm.
So my encouragement for you as a guest, if you're considering going on a show, an investment like Ben's talking about, this kind of mic, is really all you need to get started, and it'll make you sound better. I do pre-chats with all my guests, and I told one of my guests, your setup is not going to translate well, just so you know. And they're like, I always use this. Everybody says I sound great. I'm like, well, everyone's lying to you because, it's just not going to work. I'm happy to do the episode anyway. I'll put it through and I'll do my best to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
When it went live, an email comes back. They're like, why does it sound so bad? I'm like, because, like we talked about, there's a lot of little things you can do to make it sound better, but because you, at this point, can't do that, that's the result, the best I can do with what I have, right? So my encouragement for everyone that wants to be a guest, show up with your mics. Don't record from the front seat of your car on your iPhone, because it's going to be really hard to make that sound great. Also, just consider the background noise and what's going on behind you. All these little things can really add up. I have one author came on, and middle of the interview, all of a sudden on camera, his pet pigeon, which I never really considered having a pet pigeon, just started poking his face into the camera and tapping on all I could see was a beak and 2 eyes hitting the camera with its beak and him trying to get it off the camera. That's stuff that's just really hard to edit out of the conversation. So little things like that. As a guest, just be considerate and do your best to be in a nice quiet space. And if you can do a mic, which we both agree on, it's a good choice, grab a mic, invest it. If after you're done your interviews, you're done with it, go donate it to your local high school and let them have it. Like, there's something you can do with it. It's a good investment, though.
So in the age of social media, and especially for independent authors, and like I know, sure you talk to both traditionally published and self-published authors, but even for traditionally published authors, so much of the marketing is on them, on us. Like self-published authors, we're our own marketers. But unless you are a best-selling author for a big 5 publisher,
Yeah.
you're mid-list or lower, and you're going to be accountable for building your own platform, which that's, for the record, that isn't me saying that expecting authors to have a social media platform is good, but it's the world that we live in right now. And so this whole, oh, we're only doing 1 or 2 interviews a year, like do more interviews.
Yeah,
Do more interviews, make the investment worth it. But again, it isn't that big of an investment. This microphone, this K688 that normally is $50, I got for $30 on Facebook Marketplace because some local guy was selling it used. This isn't my booth microphone. I have another in my booth, but I liked it enough that I got a second. So like you can go cheaper than and like these are the best $20 studio headphones you're ever going to buy. I'll send you the link for my basic setup.
Yeah.
But like, it's a no-brainer. I'm talking directly to the audience. You have paid
Right.
more for less, you
Right.
know? And so like it's worth your time. But just a quick tech moment. Every crappy mic that you use and every piece of technology that you have is a condenser microphone. It is meant to pick up all sound from all angles to one degree
Right.
or another. It
Yeah.
is not great at things like off axis rejection, which is when I am not talking into the microphone, it picks up less of my voice. And
Yeah.
so condensers don't do that. Condensers pick up everything. So when you think you sound good on your phone, you don't. And when you think that the room that you're in is quiet enough, it
Yeah.
isn't. And
Yeah.
so the difference between a cheap dynamic mic and the most expensive condenser mic for stuff like this, for
Yeah.
casual conversations,
Yeah.
dynamic mic every day, all day,
Yeah.
every day.
Right.
Because a condenser mic means I have to care about how loud my cat is in the hallway, and this
Right.
one I don't. And so
Yeah.
like people put too much stock in the everyone says that, like, and for the record, like, I'm not going to name the guy because I don't want him coming after me, but there was this audiobook coach, like an audio of a voiceover narration coach. He's like a
Yeah.
trying to build his brand on TikTok as a VO coach. Like, and he basically said, like, absolute bare minimum, you need a Rode NT1, which
Mm.
is a very standard, relatively affordable, well respected condenser mic.
Yeah.
You don't. You
Yeah.
don't. You
Yeah.
just
You don't.
don't.
Yeah.
And he was like, he took this weirdly elitist stance that me saying you can do better with a budget mic than that is basically like, you'll never win any work because you're going to get beat out every day by someone with an NT1. I'm like, I would beat me talking with an NT1. Like if I did two auditions and I submitted
Yeah.
one with me talking on an NT1 and I did one with me talking on this microphone would win me auditions when that one wouldn't.
Mm.
And it's just like, it's this weird stance where people don't understand how the tech works, and so they think
Right.
that if they buy a Rode NT1 and they get a Scarlett Solo, and then they're going to start winning voiceover work, when there's so much more to getting work or even producing
Mm-hmm.
your own work than buying. It's just like if every podcaster bought an SM7B, we would just have more broke podcasters for no good reason.
Yeah. I'm a musician, and I owned multiple guitars to my wife's chagrin. Anyways,
Dismay.
yeah, she just yeah, not a great idea. But I had most of them before we got married, so that was a key element there. Anyways, when I go into the guitar store, I can see a $3,000 acoustic guitar, and I can see a $200 acoustic guitar. The one thing that the guitars don't have is a built-in player. Like, somebody actually has to pick it up and play it. And it doesn't really matter the price tag on the guitar, it's the person playing it and skill level. So you can have a crappy guitar player on an expensive guitar, and it doesn't mean it's going to be any better. You can have a great guitar player on a very cheap guitar, and they can still make it sing. So a lot of it comes down to practice, understanding how mics work, picking the best mic for your voice, because just because a mic is popular doesn't mean it's going to serve you well. Again, the muddy, bassy voices that I hear on many men on podcasting and things, for me, I can't handle it over a long period of time. So your choices vary. One of the suggestions I have for people is try to find somebody that kind of sounds like you, kind of your register and your voice. Listen to their stuff, and if you find that to your best ability that this person sounds similar to you, reach out to them and then ask them what they're using. And that might be helpful for you as a starting point. If you don't even know where to start, go to your local music store and go try out the mics. They'll probably have a space where you can actually try them and get feedback from people. does this make my voice sound bright and clear, or do I sound muddy and hard to understand? Those are all things. And then the other part is how you, on the microphone, how you enunciate, how you speak. Do you mumble? Are you bright and cheery? Do you have a very low register, a very high register? All of these things make the right mic choice very important for you. And don't just buy one because somebody told you it's the most expensive mic, so it's got to be the best. Might not work for you. So just keep that in mind.
And you can always upgrade. Like
Right.
start cheap, because if you don't know if this is for you, you're going to be selling that really expensive microphone when you decide that it's not. So like there is such a thing as get in at the floor that you are comfortable with.
Right.
I will name one VO, like a relatively prolific voiceover artist who is a big fan of these microphones. And I had mine before I found this guy who was talking about them, but his name's Dave Soltura. He's a voice actor. He does a lot of work in kids media. And he loves these microphones. And he will talk them up as far as, again, it's about what it does for your voice.
Right.
And you're absolutely right. Like to say, make sure your voice sounds good with the microphone. Like my first audiobook was not with this mic. My first audiobook was recorded with a Audio-Technica, I think 4010. It's effectively Audio-Technica's SM58, which is like the bog standard. You're going to, if you see a mic that someone's singing into that live, it's probably an SM58. And it was the equivalent of that, which again, dynamic mic, reasonable range. It's a mic I already owned because I did /do MC work for a performance group. And my voice was tinny. My voice was tinny. Like I still had to, even after like mastering it, to the best of my ability at the time, the mic didn't do me any favors.
Right.
And I ended up remastering it with a reasonably cheap like plugin that did the things that this mic now does to my voice without any processing.
Yeah.
So yeah, you could have a very good microphone and just have it not sound good for you.
Right. Yeah. And then you also need to understand how the mic works. One of the things I suggest to some people is think of your microphone, again, depending on the mic you have, think of it like a flashlight and try not to shine the light in your eyes when you're speaking into it, and have something that kind of blocks all those plosives, which are the P's and the B's, because those will hit the mic and they're not a pleasing thing for your audience to hear. That burst of air that comes out of your mouth. So I tell people to say peanut butter and put your hand in front of your mouth. That feeling of air hitting the mic directly, not good. So anything you can do to disperse it is a good thing. We both have something to kind of block that for us on our mics. And then just for me, having an off axis we talk about and talking past it instead of directly into it. Some mics work better that way. Some mics are designed otherwise, but you got to play with it. I heard one podcaster say what he does is he'll turn on his recording software, set up his mic one way, and then talk through how his mic is set up. Change the mic in a different way, and then talk about it. My hands are this far away, and my arms are this far away. I'm now pointing it to the right, to the left, whatever. And he'll talk his way through it and then listen back. And what he's hearing is him instructing himself on what sounds the best. And he's telling himself how to set up the mic for future reference. Find that sweet spot. And if you can have a dedicated space for recording, great. Because you don't have small children coming in and pushing buttons. You don't have to pack everything up, put it in boxes, and unpack it every time. It's nice to have a set area. If you have that space, great. But at least you know this is the general setup that works best for my voice. So I don't have to recreate it in episode to episode and recording to recording. There's a similarity to what your sound sounds like over a long period of time, because you set up generally the same way each time, right? Any other tips around that that'd be helpful, you think?
Yeah. So number one, totally agree. Consistency is key. especially in an episode. But one thing that people don't think about for audiobooks is I'm going to need to do some retakes at some point. And if
Right.
I don't sound exactly the same,
Hmm.
like no amount of mastering is going to fix my
Yeah.
retake if I screw it up. And like
Yeah.
I'm actually listening to an audiobook right now, and I think it's funny that we both can go back. I'm an avid audiobook listener also.
Yeah.
Recording my own audiobooks has only given me more opinions about them, sadly. But I'm listening to an audiobook right now, and it's terrible. It's not like I want to give the book a chance, but the recording is inconsistent. They didn't do enough mastering to remove the kind of plosives and specifically
Hmm.
S's that you were like
Yeah.
de-essing is a big thing to like be
Yeah.
concerned about. And and then I can tell where they do retakes because it
Yeah.
sounds different.
Right.
So like my setup is I do like basically it was described to me through at least one or two tutorials. So like we know Shaka, like hang
Yeah.
10.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the distance to be away from your microphone is one Shaka. So
Okay. That's a
the
good
way
point. I
that I
like that.
do it, so you stick your thumb on your chin and you put your pinky up to the microphone, and if you touch the pop filter, that's your distance. And then
Yeah.
I tend to do off axis by like 30 degrees, not a full
Yeah.
45,
Hmm.
because I find, and especially like dynamic mics don't work as well off axis as condenser mics. And this is something
Right.
where I keep getting, I'll watch audiobook narrators who are recording their stuff live on TikTok, and their condenser mic is up here somewhere
Yeah. Way above their head.
and like pointed away from them. And I'm like, your mic is too sensitive. Like, what is happening that you are getting good
Yeah.
audio quality like 3 feet away, pointed in the wrong direction? Like, I feel like that's
Yeah.
somehow not right, but like, I get it, whatever, it works for them. But like, I can't take my dynamic mic and put it too off axis because then I'm losing some of that dynamic range that I get that the mic does from my voice, and I lose some of that.
Yeah.
So yeah, like
Okay. Yeah.
one shaka away and a little bit off axis, and
Perfect.
you get repeatability.
That's good. Yeah, that's really good. I like that's a great visual and a great thing we can all do. Simple. That hang loose.
Yep.
There you go. That's good. That's smart. That's really good. Okay, so there's one thing about tech and having the right tech, and we'll have links to all the stuff we've been talking about in the notes, so you can go check out what Ben's using because it sounds amazing. There's another part to audiobook narration, content creation, podcasting, and that's putting on a show. And not just reading, but how you use your voice and inflection and cadence and kind of a gallop to your voice. All of these things, these are all tools. The microphone is just going to amplify what you do, what's coming out of your mouth. So the most important part in this too then would be how you show up on the mic. And as an MC in different environments and different events and things, you not only have to give out information, whatever that is, but you got to also lead the room. And so I'm curious if you can kind of share a little bit about the performance side of audiobook narration, public facing MC stuff that you do. Give us a little bit about the performing side, because I don't think a lot of podcasters think about the performance of their podcast. So I'd love to kind of get your ideas on that.
Yeah. So my undergraduate degree is actually in theater, and I did some acting in like full length productions in college, and I've done community theater, and I've done other some improv type activities beyond having 15 years of experience being an MC working crowds.
Hmm.
And when I say MC, I mean like I've effectively run a vaudeville style like variety show.
Hmm.
So it's a lot of introducing people, getting the audience engaged, making sure you understand where you're picking people up, where you're losing them.
Right.
And so live crowd work is going to be different than what we do here to an
Yeah.
extent. But
Yeah.
let's talk first about the concept of being on, because you're right. It's a performance, but if you can't get yourself to think of it as a performance, you at least need to get the idea through your head that there's a switch you have to turn on for
Yeah.
being engaged in whatever it is that you're doing.
Right.
Because I've been in rooms virtually and real with other people on panels and other things where they just kind of show up and they talk and they don't really engage that much and they're kind of monotone and they don't really like I'm using my hands because that's how I talk. I'm I'm modulating the tone of my voice. I'm speaking in a more animated way. You know, again, like when you're doing auditions, people will tell you what style of speaking they want. So, for
Right.
example, let's say I'm auditioning for a part in an audiobook. They're going to say, this is a male character, 45, morose. Okay, great. I can do that voice. But the way that they describe it for the kind of thing that I want people to take and apply to all of their appearances on any media that they do is energized. Your
Mm.
voice has to be energized. You have to be engaged. And if you're not doing that, you're not engaging with the host and you're
Right.
you're not engaging with the audience. I've done many, 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 many hours of corporate training. And the consistent feedback that I got about my work as a corporate trainer is you're the only corporate trainer I have ever dealt with that was actually engaging for all 24 hours of this course.
Mm.
And it's because I do these tricks. I turn on, I modulate my voice, I'm energized, and I expect the same of the people that I'm talking to.
Yeah.
And so this give and take that we're having like right now, Dave, is we're both engaged in the conversation. We're both playing off of each other and that requires you to be invested in a way that takes some of your energy. So like if you come away from an interview and you're not at least a little bit tired, you did it wrong.
Mm. Okay. I like that. Okay. I put it into terms of I have a Dave dial that I have to turn up a little bit. I'm naturally an introvert. I'm naturally a person who doesn't like big crowds. I don't like attention, but I'm a podcaster. I have to I have to set the tone for my guests. I have to set the tone if I'm a solo episode. Whatever I'm recording, whatever I'm doing, it's up to me to set that. If I have a guest, if I come in low, my guest comes in high, they'll match me. They'll come down to my level because I'm just not engaging or I'm monotone. An excited extrovert guest will be like, "Oh, I feel out of balance with you because you're so low and I'm so high. I'm going to come down to your level." Or the reverse. If I'm up higher and my guest comes in low, they at times will come up to my level, at least even a little bit, right? So we set the stage as the host. I like to think of it as we go through the door first and our guest follows. We don't push them through the door or demand or hope from them anything that we're not willing to do as well. So my Dave dial is kind of my imaginary thing, like a thermostat. I got to turn it just a little bit when I come to recording because my natural speaking state, I might not project as loud. I might not have as much gallop in my voice. I'm kind of a quiet, calm guy who doesn't really like attention. Coming to this, I know I have to. I have to step it up a little bit. So that's kind of my little thing that I have in my mind. What are you doing when you come to the mic that you know you're now, I'm not this Ben, I'm now this Ben in this moment without being fake?
Yeah. So, oh, sorry. Let me. I have a question for you, but I'll
Okay.
answer this. But then I want to circle back to that.
Okay.
So yeah, I too have a Ben dial.
Mm-hmm.
Mine is not a Dave dial because that would be my dad and that would be weird. So I'm an extrovert. I'm an
Yeah.
extrovert's extrovert,
Mm-hmm.
but there is a level of dial turning that exists even for me in that when I'm here, I am on, I am plugged in. And so
Yeah.
I think of it like, let's go for a Star Trek reference. Your
Mm.
phaser has to at least be set to stun. Okay, you can't leave your phaser off. You have to set it to
Yeah.
stun. Don't set it to kill because that's too much. But like
Yeah.
phaser has to be set to stun, otherwise like none of us are going to have a good time here.
Hmm.
And you're absolutely right. That's how it works. Is if so you say like there's absolutely nothing worse than having like a guest that is like super low and doesn't come up. I will say conversely, as a guest, I have been on interviews where the host has been low and I have had to carry the interview. And that
Mm.
is the weirdest experience when I'm on someone's show
Sorry
and
about that. Sorry. Yeah, you were on my show. Sorry
Dave,
about that. Yeah.
Dave, Dave,
Just in case we're having a
come
moment here,
on.
I want to
We
apologize.
are
No.
not.
Okay.
We are not having
Okay. Good.
that
Okay. Okay.
moment
Okay.
here.
Okay. All
No.
right. Okay.
And to be fair, I never would have expected you to say that you were an introvert. But simply because maybe again, we people who have long experience doing stuff like this, you kind of you evolve over time to exist in that state where it's easier to like just turn it right on. So
Right.
you may be an introvert, but I know that your dial is easily adjusted.
Yeah.
I know that you're not like you don't have a bunch of angst when you have to turn that on. And I know a lot of people do. And so I'm going to go way back because one of the comments that you made was some authors say, "Oh, I could never do that. I just could never do that." And it's because they have these opinions that are negative about themselves that
Right.
are like, "Oh, I hate the sound of my own voice." Like shut up. So does
Everyone.
everyone.
Right.
Like
Yeah. Yeah.
it, well,
Yeah.
okay, not everyone, but like not everyone who records is a narcissist that likes the sound of their own voice. Like
Yeah.
I've gotten used to hearing the sound of my own voice for years because I've had to do these things. Do I like the sound of my own voice? Only in that I like that I'm doing these things, which
Yeah.
necessitates me listening to the sound of my own voice.
Right.
But like authors, you're putting yourselves down by saying, "Oh,
Hmm.
I could never do that because I hate the sound of my own voice." It's like then like why do that to yourselves?
Yeah.
But yeah, circling back, what is one tip that you would give an author coming onto your podcast as far as what you would want from them, from like that kind of energy level? Like what makes a good guest?
A great guest and actually you're and a great host, I think comes down to listening and being engaged. That's all. Like I can do so much with somebody who's really here for the right reasons, who has some confidence around what they're here to talk about. That's really helpful. When I have somebody come through the door who's here because they were asked to be here and they don't see value in the conversation, very hard to make it dynamic, make it engaging. And the one other thing I would say is I always try to encourage my guests to remember there's someone else they don't see who's going to listen later, and I want to connect with that person. It's really hard to do when you can't see them, but there's somebody listening to this later, and I want them to connect with Ben. I want them to be like, oh my gosh, this guy sounds amazing. I love what he does. And I want that feeling to translate through the microphone into their ears, right? So that's some of the main things that I focus in on.
So you want your guests to remember, and other hosts, you want everyone to remember that there is in fact an audience that is supposedly listening to this.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And I totally agree. That's the thing is like that's why we say that this is a performance. Is we don't want you to be fake. Everyone wants it's a big thing right now to be authentic. But
Yeah.
no one knows how to tell you what authenticity means, except authenticity is just being yourself and coming across as a real person with real emotions and real thoughts, and then expressing that in a way that is at least moderately engaging
Right.
because there's an audience. And why would they sit and listen to this if all they get is you talking about how your publicist told you that you should be here? Like no one wants to hear
Yeah.
that.
No.
So yeah, thank you. That's exactly the advice that I would give people too, is like, you got to show up and
Yeah.
you have to expect that there is someone that's going to want to listen to what you have to say. Why would anyone read your books if you didn't have
Yeah.
something to say? And
Yeah.
why would you come on a show if you didn't have something to say about what you do? And so like this whole disconnect of, well, I don't really see the value in stuff like this. Like it's art is meant to be consumed. Okay.
Hmm.
And whether or not you feel like podcasting is art, art is also like entertainment is art. It's just
Yeah.
maybe it's not highbrow, fine, whatever. But
Yeah.
art is meant to be consumed. And that means there is a consumer. And so if there is a consumer, then you have to put enough effort into your art that someone wants to consume it.
Right. And I think that dial, that Dave dial, the one thing that I just caution people is to not go crazy with that dial. Like to the point where you're an exaggerated version of yourself that's not realistic. So the whole Sunday, 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 that kind of thing. No, that's not how you talk around the dinner table. Pass the salt. You don't talk like in that tone. That's not how you show up in real life. If I met you at a coffee shop, you wouldn't talk to me like that. Like that's a different level of taking your voice. So play with the dial a little bit, find out what's comfortable, and then maybe one notch a little bit more is you kind of being like, yeah, I'm all in. And then you can go rest later. It's fine. That's what I do. I just go and chill after and go, okay, now I just got to recoup and then do it again. So again, find that sweet spot for you on your dial and at least acknowledge that if you're a monotone speaker, your audience is going to just check out after a while live. If you're speaking from stage and you can't hold their attention. Same goes for an audiobook. Same goes for anything on social media, a podcast. You, again, have to, to Ben's point, realize there's somebody here listening, someone interacting with you. They are distracted by what's around them, and you have to cut through the distractions to get their attention and hold it. And the longer you can hold their attention, the more they're going to get from your message. So just understand that you're competing with everything around your listener at the same time, and you got to cut through. So, yeah. Any kind of tips from a stage in person that translates to a recording when you're all by yourself? What kind of things can you bring from that toolkit into what you do, Ben?
No, it's the same toolkit. Like that's
Same toolkit.
It is. It's and when you're just starting out, like when I finally recorded all 25 chapters of my first audiobook, I had to go re-record chapters 1 through 4 because by the time I got to chapter 5, I had found my narrating voice, which was
Nice.
much more like this than it was the way that I started. So you have to find your voice. But then once you find your voice, you're going to know what that feels like. So, and tell me if this resonates with you, Dave. You have to think about the people that you're speaking with. And you have to, like, the way that we engage with strangers and the way that we engage with colleagues or friends is different.
Right.
And we are much more tentative with strangers. And we are much more engaged and confident with colleagues and friends. And so, like, Dave, we're friends now. But
Yay.
but nonetheless, when I showed up, we weren't friends yet. But I'm going to talk
Yeah.
to you as if we are friends because that's like kind of a mental trick that you can use. It's how do I talk to my friends? That's how, like, I'm going to be a little animated. I'm going to be a little bit more engaged. I'm going to put more into this because this is someone that my brain is comfortable with, that is, I'm investing my time and energy into. So treat the people that you're talking with like we're friends, because that's how you're going to unlock that magic of like, oh, we're just riffing on this conversation like real people talking in a real situation, cutting through the fact that we haven't known each other for 5 years, But
I know.
but that's how it is. Like we love watching interviews where where a good interviewer and a good interviewee are
Yeah.
just riffing off this conversation like they've been friends forever. And it's great because it's this familiarity that is hard to capture if you don't know how to do it or if you're just not used to it.
Right.
And in the booth, it's the same thing. Like I have to read the words as if so. Okay, it's not different, but the trick for audiobook narration is you have to remember that it's a performance. And I don't mean like don't put your whole community theater into it. There is such a thing as
Yeah.
overacting on
Right.
audiobooks, but there's a difference that we read things aloud differently whether we are
Yeah.
reading them to someone else. And so like if you got kids and
Yeah.
you've read them books, you're going to read a book to a child differently than if you were like reading it aloud just into the ether.
Yeah.
And so, it, before you understand what narrating is, you're going to say he walked down the flight of stairs and he opened the door.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Exactly. Yeah.
But if you're narrating, you're telling a story. It's he walked down the flight of stairs and he opened the door. Because something's beyond that door. What's
Right.
next? It's there's you're building anticipation, you're building emotion into it. The worst thing that you can do as a narrator is drop the line. And I hear this all the time. And it's like in this bad audiobook that I'm listening to, it's not only do they drop the line, they put in pauses where they don't exist. So literally it'll be like she walked down the street. It's like what just happened? Where did that pause come from? I was
Yeah.
waiting for
Yeah.
something other than the last two words in that sentence. So like
Yeah.
narrating is building the right experience for the people who are listening. So if it's a suspenseful line, read it so we understand that that's what's happening. It, and you have to kind of do that more intentionally than when we're just talking and we're kind of going off the cuff. But if you're narrating, you have to make sure that you're applying that to what you're doing.
Yeah. And if you want to slam the brakes on an interview, do this. Okay, question number 3.
Oh my God.
Right? Like, wait, what?
That's happened to me.
Or don't acknowledge your guest at all, and they just said something earth-shattering, and you just, yeah, I didn't even acknowledge it. I'm going to move on because I have a list. Got to get through the list here because, I have a list. So I'm going to just follow my script of questions, not even acknowledge you as if you're even here, and just get through the list because that's the most important thing. I love when a host and an interview have chemistry. It's the morning show on a new radio station, and you have two people who have never met who now have to do a 2-hour radio show together. They have no idea who each other is. And in those first months or two, they have to build a level of chemistry, inside jokes, getting to know each other and characteristics and feeding off each other. You listen to somebody who's been doing a morning show together for years and years and years. They can finish each other's sentences. It's a relationship. It's like a marriage, right? And I love a great interview when the host and the guest have chemistry. I just think that's great.
Me too. Yeah, and I've been on the receiving end of question number 3. Like I just did an interview. Can I like mention another podcast on this podcast? So Daniel Kulbaugh, who is an author himself, does the Fantasy and Sci-Fi Fanatics podcast. Great guy. Great guy. I've been on his show now twice. And we had a moment where we were talking about the 4th book in my series. I'm just finishing it now. It's about it. I write urban fantasy, but it focuses on death, like personified as a deity. But the reason why I'm diving into this is I have a deep-seated fear of death, and it's a way that I'm like kind of I get to process some of my feelings about this through writing a book. And I drop this in the interview that we're doing, and like, by the way, let's have a real moment. I have a deep-seated fear of death. And then if Daniel had just said, all right, question number 4, like,
Yeah.
you're right. Like, if someone lines up a shot for you,
Right.
take it.
Yeah.
And that would have been like an absolute failure on the shoulders of a host to take that real moment where we're connecting about something that's like, it's the human condition, and we're being weirdly vulnerable on a podcast, and then just drop the ball entirely. And Daniel, to his credit, is a fantastic host, and we talked about it for a little bit, and he acknowledged that was like, it's like we in the audience love it when people are real about stuff.
Yeah.
And I have absolutely been on podcasts and interviews where they would have said, well, anyway, question number 4.
Yeah. I got to get back to my list here. Yeah, exactly. Right. So there's that chemistry thing that's super important, whether you're solo podcast, solo on stage, reading an audiobook, there's still chemistry with the audience as well to consider. So keep that in mind as you come to the mic. It is a performance. It is something where you're going to have to give. You're going to be, to Ben's point, tired at the end of this. And that's the sign that you put your heart into it and you're connecting. I think that's really, really important. But what else are we missing before we head out the door? Because I want you to come back and just keep talking because we have chemistry now. So having you back would be amazing. So just keep that in mind. But as we kind of wrap up, and what are some takeaways for the listener, no matter what you're doing on the mic, to kind of capture the conversation today? What are some action steps? What do you got?
Okay, no matter what you're doing, imagine that you are leaning forward slightly. Like, lean into the conversation, no matter what is happening. Like, even if you don't love what's happening, pretend that it is at least 10% more interesting than whatever it is that you have going on, because you need to be engaged. So, like, lock in, engage with the people that you're on with, because it may not, in fact, be just you and the host. It may be you on a panel, in which case then it's going to be you doing these things with like 4 other people.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Now, for the record, we should talk about hosting one of those things at some point, because hosting multi-panel things is complicated. And like I just did a live, and it was fine. It was good and everything. Like, no shade to people. It was meant to be more of a conversation. But like, if you have guests that monopolize the air,
right,
you need a host to rein that in, make sure that people are getting not necessarily equal airtime. That's not the whole point, but like that everyone's participating in the conversation. And if you're not doing that, you're going to have an unbalanced conversation. And you can get that when you get really like good speakers who have done this for a long time, and they're going to dominate a conversation. So like, totally separate topic. And yes, I will absolutely come back on. I think you and I would do a great morning show.
Yeah.
But yeah, so quick tips: lean in, add 10% to everything that you're doing, get some gear that doesn't suck, and like acknowledge that this is a performance and that you have to turn the person dial on. I think like if you do those things, you will immediately be a better guest than 50% of the interviews that I listen to.
Right. Okay. Now somebody's listening to this and they're like, I'm looking for someone to do my intros and outros. I'd love to hire somebody just to do those. So like a couple minutes of work. Right. But I want a different voice for my show to introduce the show. Can people reach out to Ben to record stuff like that? Is that something that's a possibility? Or an audiobook? I'm looking for a voiceover actor. Like, is that something you're interested in talking to people about?
I am much more interested in short work than I am
Okay.
long, because like I
Okay.
currently have a backlog of at least two full-length audiobooks that I need to finish for myself at the same time that I'm writing and publishing other things.
Okay.
So yeah, if you love my voice, you are one of five people, and I would be happy to record your intro and outro for your podcast show, whatever.
Whatever.
Audiobooks, I do actually work with a smaller like full cast narration company called Total Immersion Narration, and
Hmm.
I do small parts in other people's audiobooks because I can
Good.
just fit that stuff in between things. So yeah, I love the idea of doing more things and adding more credits. You can find all that on my website, like my audio narration credits.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would love to. I would be tickled if someone said I like Ben's voice enough that I want him to do my intro and outro. Yeah, just reach out. Just reach out.
There you go. Awesome. And if you have questions around tech from an audio narrator's perspective or otherwise, I'm sure Ben would love to talk to you about tech anyways. You can reach out through email, connect with him through his website as well. And yeah, I'm sure he'd love to hear from you. So Ben, thank you so much for doing this. I appreciate your time. And like I said, I love to have you back. We just scratched the surface on some of the things I'd love to talk to you about. And I just love the value you bring to the audience. So thank you so much for making time to do this.
Oh, thanks for having me on again, Dave. And I will absolutely be back.
All right, everyone, all information, as always, you know what we do in the show notes. Go check out Ben and all the great stuff that he's doing. And we'll continue to do Ben again. Thanks so much. Hey, thanks for being here. Thank you for listening to the end of the podcast. You're here with me. I'm so grateful. I want to put something in front of you. For the person that's listened this far, you're my new best friend. So what I'm trying to do every month is I have a goal, and you can help me with this goal. Very simple. What I'm trying to do is have 5 conversations this month with listeners of the How to Podcast series. You don't have to have a podcast to respond. This can be the first time ever that we're going to have a conversation, but I'm looking to talk to 5 people. Now, you're still here, so you're one of the people that I would love to talk to next. So on my howtopodcast.ca website is a calendar, and I'd love to have you respond on howtopodcast.ca. Just click the calendar link, set up time in my calendar, and in the comments section for the meeting, just put something like listener. That's it. If you have a show, put it in the comments too so I can go listen. But if you don't, I just want to talk to 5 listeners every month from now to the end of the month. So if you're listening to me right now, you're the person I want to talk to. And through howtopodcast.ca, you and I can get together, chat about the show, chat about your journey as a podcaster. Where are you at? What do you need this show to become for you? What's missing? Your feedback. I just want to meet you. And as podcasters, I would encourage you to do something similar to this in your podcast so that you can meet and interact with your audience. So, howtopodcast.ca, I'm looking to talk to 5 people every month, and I would love for you to be one of them. Reach out. It's free. I'm not selling you anything. I just want to talk to you at howtopodcast.ca. Let's get in the calendar and chat. Thanks for listening.